Chiefs news, analysis, and opinion every day. So we've been here going pretty nonstop since the draft, and guys, I have to say that like me, I think you, just by the reactions in the comments, are pretty impressed with this draft class. Maybe there is a reach here or there. Maybe there was a different player on the board that you would have wanted, but from the first through the seventh round, I think everyone is pretty okay, at the very least, with the class that the Kansas City Chiefs brought home. But it's not just us. No, this is being hailed around media as one of the better classes from this year. And I wanted to go through three separate sources, three separate websites, and talk a little bit about those reactions. This comes to us from CBS Sports, ranking the AFC following 2025 NFL Draft. Ravens' best Chiefs top spot. Cam Ward, not enough for Titans. From CBS Sports, the Kansas City Chiefs ranked number 2. Now, we like to win. Here in Kansas City, there's a precedent for winning. There's a precedent for taking home number 1. But let me tell you why number 2 is very, very impressive. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs had the final pick of every AFC team. This is an AFC ranking. The Chiefs had the last pick of every AFC team. The article goes on to say this: the Chiefs are perennial AFC contenders, but I really liked this team's draft. Josh Simmons at number 32 overall would have gone much higher without the knee injury, but that wasn't the only top-graded pick from Brett Veach. Omar Norman Lott in the second round is an interior pass rushing player I want to see play next to Chris Jones. Wide receiver Jalen Royals from Utah State may be the steal of the draft, and SMU running back Brashard Smith is an explosive playmaker. Now, I think that this is perhaps a bit understated, especially if you were putting this class at number 2 in the AFC, to be so complimentary as to say that I want to see Norman Lott play, and Brashard Smith is an explosive playmaker, leaves us a little desiring to know why you would rank them number 2 if those are the only things with this class. Now, they do go on to say that Jalen Royals may be the steal of the draft, and guys, that's not an uncommon opinion here. With the maybe notable exception of Josh Simmons, Jalen Royals seems to be one of the bigger steals, not just of this draft class, but of this draft in its entirety. So absolutely hitting the nail on the head here from CBS, even if it is a bit understated. And then we get this from The Atlantic. Execs' unfiltered thoughts on NFL draft for every AFC team. Did the Browns get it right? From The Atlantic. An old football adage says a team with 2 quarterbacks is a team without any. The Chiefs hope that doesn't apply to left tackles after the team doubled up on candidates to fill the troublesome spot on its line. Using a first-round pick for Ohio State, Josh Simmons, after signing free agent Jalen Moore for $15 million per year. That's a silly place to start this. Why would having too many tackles ever be a bad thing? Having too many quarterbacks is a different thing because it's a question of leadership. It's a question of to whom does the team turn. But offensive linemen? I want you to tell me one case in NFL history where a team had too many offensive linemen. I'll wait, but we'll be here for quite some time. The actual NFL exec then goes on to say, I think they are raising the floor and do not get to be great at that position, one exec said. The quarterback makes up for so much deficiency up front. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady made up the difference with their teams too. This, again, unfortunately, is a silly thing to say. I don't understand. So, Patrick Mahomes, so there's a boxing term called an eraser. Mainly this is with heavyweights, right? Somebody that has a big right hand. Someone who has a very strong overhand, for example. That is called an eraser because what happens is you can make a lot of mistakes during the fight and you can get dinged up pretty good because all it takes is one swipe from that eraser and none of those mistakes matter anymore. That's Patrick Mahomes, sure, but yes, the quarterback makes up for so much of it, but it's not something that the Chiefs, the offensive line, is not something that the Chiefs cannot get right. The problem with it has been that the Kansas City Chiefs have not been in position to take a player like Josh Simmons for quite some time. The article goes on. After taking Simmons, who suffered a torn patellar tendon last season, the Chiefs used 3 picks on defense from selection number 63 through 85. They took Tennessee defensive tackle Umar Norman-Lott 2 spots before the Giants landed Darius Alexander at the same position. The exec goes on to say, I understand why they took Norman-Lott. Bigger school guy, more actual pass rush juice. Another exec said, the corner they got from Cal, Noel Williams, in the 3rd round, was really a good pick. He will be a good starter, a good number 2 corner. He is smart, can play nickel, can play safety, great character, team captain. That's a double in the 3rd round. A double, not a home run, right, but a double. The 3rd round is still where you are supposed to get a starter. And just like I said, in the immediacy after the Noel Williams pick, I think this can be a number 2 corner, right? I said that in the video that I posted that night. This is important because Ozzie Newsome, I talk about this all the time, legendary player, legendary general manager for the Ravens, said that you have to get 3 starters in each draft because if you don't, you're starting to fall behind the natural attrition of the roster. Guys retire, guys leave in free agency, guys don't cut it, right? Guys drop off in their career. If you're not getting 3 starters, at least in each draft, you're in serious trouble. Josh Simmons is a starter. Umar Norman-Lott, whether you like him at that selection or not, and I've seen a lot of negatives about Umar Norman-Lott, he's a day 1 starter. On this roster, he is a day 1 starter. I don't know that Noel Williams will start immediately. There's a lot of depth on this Kansas City Chiefs defensive back roster right now, especially at the cornerback position. But I agree with this executive that he screams number 2 corner from his measurables to his risk-taking abilities. All of these things scream number 2 corner in the NFL. I think there are some other starters and potential starters in this draft class as well. But moving on, from PFF, Sycamore, my 10 favorite NFL draft classes by, well, Trevor Sycamore. Kansas City Chiefs. Now, he didn't have them ranked, I don't believe, so there's not a number next to it. But I did want to get this in there as well because I think the visual is nice. Josh Simmons, they have him ranked 18th. He was picked 32nd. Umar Norman-Lott, Trevor Sycamore had him ranked 34th. The Chiefs took him 63rd. Ashton Gelati, Trevor Sycamore had him ranked 97th. The Kansas City Chiefs took him 66th. So, a reach here. But you're reaching on an edge player. Noel Williams, Trevor Sycamore ranked 114, taken at 85. Another reach, but you're reaching on a guy who pretty widely is considered, now that I've looked around, to eventually be a starter at the cornerback position. You cannot have too many corners. The NFL is a passing league now, etc., etc. Jalen Royals, ranked 60th. The Chiefs picked him 133rd. Jeffrey Bassa, ranked 123. The Chiefs picked him 158. Rashard Smith, ranked 139. The Chiefs picked him 230. So yeah, there's a little bit of a reach in the third round with both of those players, but here's another thing to keep in mind with those players. It might be, especially with Noel Williams because they traded up for him, it might be that the Kansas City Chiefs thought this is our last chance to get a guy at this position who will make an impact. And with the run on edge players that always happens, that may have been Ashton Gillotte at 66, regardless who had him ranked 97th. But Trevor Sikkema goes on to say, Chiefs general manager Brett Veach showed once again the kind of top-tier chemistry Kansas City's scouting staff and front office have with its coaching staff. Simmons is the perfect long-term pick at offensive tackle, but he's coming off of a meniscus tear. I'm a big fan of Omar Norman-Lott, even if he is just a one-gap attacking defensive tackle. This team knows how to use those. Gillotte, Williams, and Bossa are all Steve Spagnuolo-type guys. Type defensive players, And Royals and Smith are excellent value selections. Now, this is another visualization of the rankings, but they have them by position ranking. So Josh Simmons, number 3 offensive tackle, you're getting him at the end of the third round, or the first round. Omar Norman-Lott, defensive tackle 15. I don't know who Beast is. I don't know if that's a type of ranking or what. But you got him. He's going to start. Ashton Gillotte, the 15th edge player. Noel Williams, the 8th corner, getting him at the end of the third round. Jalen Royals, the 7th wide receiver, taken at the end of the 4th. Jeffrey Bossa, the 4th linebacker, getting him there in the 5th. And then Rashard Smith, number 18 ranked running back. That's in the 7th round. That's probably where you're going to be getting players like that. So we have here 3 different examples of people praising the Kansas City Chiefs draft class, saying which players they think are going to be starters. Now, if we go to this list here and we really look at it, I'm going to walk you through. Josh Simmons is a starter. I think we can all agree on that if he's healthy. Omar Norman-Lott, that he's going to start day 1. He's going to start week 1, snap 1 next to Chris Jones. Ashton Gillotte. Do I think he's George Karlaftis? No. Do I think he's Mike Dana? I think that's a good comp. Do the Kansas City Chiefs have anyone particularly better than Mike Dana? You can say Charles Omenihu. We've only seen Charles Omenihu over the course of 2 seasons for about a little less than 1 season of playing time. So maybe Ashton Gillotte could start. Noel Williams will eventually be a number 2 corner in the NFL. Jalen Royals is currently the number 4 corner or 4 wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. But next year, you lose Hollywood Brown. You move up to number 3. The year after that, the year after that will be Rashee Rice's final season in Kansas City on his rookie contract. So that he could be promoting to top 2 very quickly. Kansas City Chiefs usually run out there with 3 wide receivers. Jeffrey Bossa, I can see him starting. I can see him starting in the Drew Tranquill place on this defense, either when Drew Tranquill leaves or Drew Tranquill had a down year last year. And then Rashard Smith, who I don't think will start because I don't think he is a full-time running back in the NFL. I think that he is a complementary piece in the backfield. And guys, if you have to get all the way to pick 228 before your team has selected someone who is kind of a complementary piece and probably does not have starting stuff, well, then you've done pretty well. It's not to say that all of the players picked, the 6 players picked before Rashard Smith are guaranteed home run starters. I'm not saying that at all. But I think they have a shot to start on this roster, right? There's places in the NFL Ashton Gillotte would not sniff a starting position. But on this defense, I think that second defensive end place is kind of suspect. So that is what I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.